so one way that this version is different, I mean, the audio version from the original one, is that you wanted a narrator, a narration. So how did that, because that was a really interesting collaboration, because once you said, narration, I created, entirely a new character that Akili now plays. So how did you come up with the idea of narrating certain aspects of it?
Yeah, so then we were brainstorming, what is this format requires and why does it work? And then Ellen, Akili, and I sat down and listened to different old podcasts and radio shows and everything. And then we came across the idea that there is always a very important person who introduces the story, or at least explains happenings if they are not understandable or not clear. So, and that was the other moment, what we got from the old radio plays, that okay, so we need a narrator who is actually a character, but not really. We don't even know, where he stands, but definitely an omnipresent person or character. So that was the idea.
Yeah, that was really fun to kind of create a new character, and it was fun to write for an actor whose voice I could hear in my head. So because when I wrote the narrative at that point, it's like, oh, okay, I'm writing this for Akili to perform, and that was really fun, because very often you write characters just out of your imagination, and then maybe you change certain things when those roles are cast. But sort of to write from scratch for someone can also be really fulfilling in a way, because you kind of have the material there, you have the voice there, and then I could kind of imagine it like, oh, okay, now we have this character.
I'm so glad that it helped you, that you knew that Akili is gonna be the narrator.
I mean, yeah, so it really is like, this play has changed so much and grew through being, in the production process with Floor 5 Theater Company, throughout the process, like when we were preparing for like a regular live show last year, to transporting into audio format, because at each stage of the way, like I was so inspired by different things, whether it's the poster that Akili made, and I was like, oh, or the actors that read for the parts, and then the final version, even like making it, even writing it for a Zoom version was helpful, even though like it wasn't like the old version was better than the Zoom version I wrote. That exercise still was good for me, like, okay, now I know kind of what works, what doesn't work. And then the audio format, and like it became like a new version with the narrator, I feel. And
nice. So how do you relate to the narrator?
I don't want to give it away, but I think that I'll be interested. I'm the kind of writer that I will write, 80% kind of what I know, and then I leave at least 20% like a potential for the actor and director to create something out of it. Like I'm not a control freak. I'm like the opposite of control freak, which makes me not maybe a good director. I like to have those. Now, I'm not calling you a control freak. I don't think you are.
No.
But some directors are, but I actually, because you're an actor, so you're more of an actor's director, so you understand where actors are coming from. So
you are so blessed that you can let it loose, because sometimes I'm like, oh my god, what am I gonna do? And then I should just let it go. But please continue.
Well, it's because I think it's kind of like roller coasters. Like I really love roller coaster. It's a little bit about like losing control, like you get on it and then so like for me, playwriting is like I make a roller coaster, and then like I'm just the first person to get on it, and like I just hope for the best. That's part of the fun, that it's this risky, because you don't know what turns is going to take. And I do like that potential of for interpretation, that actors and designers will come in and they'll bring their twist, because it allows me to know something about my play or my text that I don't know yet. Like, what can it hold and what can it not hold? Because until those elements are there, I can't, I need other pairs of eyes and other voices to collaborate. And I think that's why I'm attracted to playwriting versus, say, another form of writing like novels or short stories where there's more kind of control. Whereas I'm like, you know, I'll have control to a certain point, and then I want to get on that roller coaster, and yeah. So that was good. I feel in my collaboration with Floor 5 Theater Company, that it was that I never had actors or directors asking like, what does this mean? Or what is this? It was much more like, oh, I think this is what this means. I'm like, great. Let's go with it.